Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to the 39th episode of Janaki Tech Talk on EV testing and validation solutions. EV testing and validation plays a very crucial role in the industry, and there's a lot of the industry has been getting grips into issues with charging and performance, motor durability, crash safety, and simulation is taking a lot of leading role in the validation process. There are a lot of advantaged areas in testing and validation. So to throw light on some of these regions, I would like to invite Mr. Nityanandan Karnagaran, solution architect consultant associated with IASYS from 2009. Mr. Karnagaran has his bachelor's degree in mechatronics from Sri Krishna College of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore. He has 12 plus years of experience in mechatronics product development of test solutions and has extensively worked on engine and vehicle test bench development for applications ranging from two-wheelers up to heavy commercial vehicles. He is currently working on test systems for e-powertrain validation and component vehicle level. It's an honor to have you with us today, sir. I welcome you on behalf of all the participants in Team Canopy.
Thank you, Ashwin, and thank you, Janaki platform, for providing this opportunity. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. So the session for today is EV testing and validation solutions. And the agenda for today's session is a small introduction about ISS and what are the present challenges in the validation area for EV and how a EV validation ecosystem should look like, and what are the solutions on the electric vehicle testing and the e-component testing. These are the topics which we are going to see today. First, like ISS is a 22 years company which is established in the year 1999, and already we have successfully executed 475 plus projects in the engine and vehicle testing areas. And our vision is to empower engineers and researchers. So what we mean by empower engineers is how we can reduce their non-productive areas and we can make them to work on their core areas. So how we are doing that, we will be explaining in the upcoming slide. What is our approach or uniqueness as ISS? We are independent integrators, means we are not just an equipment seller. We work with our client as a technical partner and we provide as a solution to the customer. And with our product platform approach, our systems are flexible and adaptable to the customer's environment and their testing needs. And our systems are like seamlessly integrate with your existing infrastructure and it is capable of accommodating all the future trends. And we always provide the right size solutions as per the customer need. And being the domain knowledge of engineering IT, we can able to deliver the products which are very useful for the customer. So these are the competencies which we have in-house. On the engineering side, we have the mechatronics, simulation knowledge, and the electrical knowledge. And on the IT side, we have the competencies of the software product development. And we are core integrators where we do the test automation, real-time controls, and the embedded technologies. Just to give a glimpse, like this is our service network, which is spread across the India, and we have 40 plus worldwide customers. And the current strength of ISS is 175 plus employees. This is like our global presence. We have the presence in Japan, Germany, UK, US, and Brazil. Here are the list of our esteemed customers in the different segments like certification and testing lab, commercial vehicles, component development, engines, farm equipments, and passenger car and two-wheeler areas. We have few of the overseas customers as well in this list. So that is about ISS. Next, what are the like present challenges which are there in the current validation area. People are looking for migrating to the V model development and the data-driven engineering, where they are looking for the platform to manage their complete validation lifecycle. While doing so, they are looking for the platform to record their road and field failure as a scenarios, which can be go as an input to their validation of the component at lab level or at the vehicle level. Also, they are looking for the platform where they can generate the real-time data, which can go as an input to the simulation models to make the models more fidelity models. And also, they are looking for the platform where the data can be generated with a high quality, also the consistency. When we are doing all this testing, there are like the report preparation activities which come, which is a burden for the test engineer. So those are also the pain areas for the customer, where the efforts are required to be the efforts to be minimized and automated in the report preparation activity. Also, people looking for a platform where they can manage the complete labs. For example, if somebody is having some 10, 15 labs, how to manage or how to schedule the assets or the resources in optimum way so that they can get the maximum throughput from the test lab. Also, people look for the platform where a dashboard for maintenance team to manage all the maintenance activities, preventive maintenance, spares, also the calibration documents. So these are the areas which are having the current challenges and how we can address those challenges using our solution. As I told earlier, like in the first slide, our main motto is to empower engineers. How we are doing is by using our legacy of building the mechatronic system and the data management solution. By combining these two things, we are proposing this road to rig and product validation management for electric vehicles. So how it will help is with this platform, it can transform the classic validation process into a data-driven engineering where the EV community can take advantage of it and they can market the vehicle in a lower price. So this is what actually we are trying to propose as the complete validation ecosystem, where at the top of this, so if we take an electric vehicle, it has a different domains like motor, battery, motor controller, battery management system, and the powertrain components. So each of these domains has different functional tests which need to be performed. For example, durability, performance, design matrix validation, so and so. So for each domain, there are different functions, and these different functions are validated at different stages of the product. For example, when it is initially designed, these things are validated at the CAE level. Then when it is like in the model, these are tested at the sill and hill level. When it is becoming the actual prototype as a component, it is tested at the test bench level. Then at the integrated level, it is done at the field, then production, then finally the vehicle is going onto the road, which is also generating a lot of data. So this is applicable for all of these individual subcomponents, or we can say domains. So if we want to manage this, if you look at the high level as a program or a project, each of this has a high level DVP, which is a vehicle level DVP. Then each of these individual domains has its own functional DVPs. From this DVP, it will comes to the test plan management, where we can schedule the test at different levels of these resources or the validation system. So we have the platform which is called a BRICS platform, which can manage this whole process right from the vehicle DVP to the functional DVP and scheduling this test on the different labs. Also, we can manage the resources which are required for the testing, like manpower, prototype, equipments. So when we do this kind of validation, the final output which is coming of the validation activity is the test data, and how this test data can be stored with respect to the components and not as a data, as a knowledge. So the same knowledge can be reused and it will help to develop the next product in a very better way. So specific to electric vehicle, if you look at the electric validation platform, you can see at the top level, it is a on-road validation. Then below to this is a vehicle validation, which is happening at the lab level on a chassis dynamometer. Then the powertrain validation, which is happening at the test bench level. Then there are some subsystem level validation like motor subsystem and energy storage subsystem. So this is like a subsystem level. And then it comes into the component level where the individual components like motor, motor controller, battery as individual systems are tested. And finally, we can go deep down up to the element level, which is specific to battery, where the testing can be done at the cell level, module level, or a pack level. So this is what the validation pyramid, which can be happen in both the areas, like virtual validation, which is in terms of like CIE, SIL, HIL, MIL, and the real-time validation, which happens on the actual prototype products. So the first thing, which is the on-road validation. On this on-road validation, what type of solutions which we are providing is whenever the vehicle is running on road, we are running at a different tracks or different routes under a different environmental condition with different drivers. So all these things can be stored into the Bricks platform where we can analyze using a different data analysis tool chain like MATLAB or Python, which can generate the drive cycles for validating the components or vehicle in the lab level. So what we try to show here is the on-road data can be collected with a different metadata, and this metadata can be stored at the Bricks level, which can be used by the different data analysis tool chains. And once we generate the drive cycle out of this tool chain, we can execute the same on the validation labs where the chassis dynamometer and motor testing systems are there. So this is one example where we have done our own validation at our phase 3 location in Jewadi. So we have drive this electric vehicle at a different routes, and we log the vehicle speed and throttle data. Also the voltage and current profiles when we are driving these drive cycles. So once we do the post-processing of this data and we generate the drive cycle, this can go as an input to component validation, or this voltage and current profile can go as the input to the battery validation. So this is what we mean by road to read. So the on-road data which has come can be an input for different validation level, where the simulation people can use it in the model in loop testing, software in loop testing, or in the hardware in loop testing. And the drive cycles can be used for validating in the powertrain test bench or a chassis dynamometer test bench. So with this approach, what we can do is that we can simulate more and more on-road scenarios in the lab level or at the initial development in the simulation level itself. So this is a sorry. So this is a EV chassis dynamometer. So what we have seen right now is the on-road data. Once the on-road data is collected, then we can do the validation of this vehicle in the chassis dynamometer. So this is the in-house test facility at our phase 3 location, where the electric vehicles are tested. So basically the drive cycle which we are doing on the on-road or any legislative drive cycle, we can execute those kind of a road simulations in the chassis dynamometer. So the one which is shown on the right, that is also two-wheeler chassis dynamometer. And some component manufacturing people, like they are only the OEM or tier 1 suppliers who are supplying to different OEMs. If they have the 2, 3, and 4-wheeler motors, they can do the testing with unique chassis dynamometer, which can cater the two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and four-wheelers. So this is one unique concept chassis dynamometer which we have developed. So when we are doing the validation in the chassis dynamometer, people always have the doubt whether we can do the actual road load simulation on the chassis, or do we need to do still on-road testing, right? So for this doubt, we can how to check whether we are really doing the RLS simulation on the chassis dynamometer. For that, the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, already they have derived some of the guidelines how to verify whether the system is doing the right road load simulation. So our systems are EPA compliant, from which we can determine whether the system is really doing the road load simulation or not. For doing that, these are the type of tests which are performed on the chassis dynamometer. So it is like any chassis dynamometer cannot be able to do this RLS simulation. We have to check whether the system is really doing RLS using these test methods, where like the time verification, whether the chassis dynamometer is doing the time verification rightly, speed measurement accuracy, torque calibration and evaluation, and the response time, how within 100 millisecond whether it is able to achieve the force or not. So all such kind of a tests are done to ensure the chassis dynamometer is doing the right road load simulation. So these are just a glimpse of results, like what is allowed deviation and how much we are actually getting on it. And this is the chassis dynamometer host system where we can create multiple or different tests, and the test is executed by the chassis dynamometer and the data is getting logged into the host software. And the right side, what we are seeing is the driver side monitor, where it will show what is the drive trace the driver has to follow. And this is one of the test result where the road load forces are how closely simulated on a chassis dynamometer. So the orange color is the demand force and the blue is the actual force. If the system is completely compliant with the EPA, then it can exactly follow the road load forces and it will give the same results as like the on-road test. So these are the typical tests which are carried out on the chassis dynamometer. The tests are like motor characterization test, consumption of electrical energy, or the range test. Then the 30 minutes power test, efficiency curve, then legislative drive cycle test, acceleration. So here we can find out like going from 0 to some 60 kmph, how much time this actual vehicle will take. So such kind of trials we can do it in the chassis dyno itself. And we can simulate different gradients on the chassis dynamometer using the gradient simulation. And whatever the on-road data which we have collected, from which we have derived a duty cycle, the same can be simulated on the chassis dynamometer. And for some of the durability test or this range test, we need to drive the vehicle for say 150 kilometer or 180 kilometer. So instead of using the human driver, we have this auto throttling robot, which will be controlling the accelerator and brake. So once we program the cycle, it will continuously follow the drive traces and it will execute the test without any human intervention. So this is a very useful feature if you want to do any kind of a durability on the chassis dynamometer without the human driver. So now we have seen the vehicle level validation. The next comes the electric motor or the component level testing, where this setup which is shown over here is a e-motor testing, where the UET motor, electric motor, is coupled to a AC dynamometer, and the AC dynamometer is having the high precision torque measurement system and the speed measurement system. And with the, as per the programmed demand cycle, this will control the UET motor at different speed load points. When we are doing such kind of a test, we can monitor the motor current and voltage using the power analyzer. And if you are doing a kind of a continuous testing or a durability testing, instead of using battery, we can use a DC regenerative power supply, which can act as a battery source. And these are the different configurations which are possible in the e-motor or a powertrain level testing, where the red color which is shown like this, motor and motor controller are the UUTs, where the motor is coupled to a dynamometer and the motor controller is supplied with a DC power supply. And this automation system, along with the vehicle simulation model, can generate a input to the dynamometer, and it can control both the throttle of the motor controller, and we can simulate different drive cycles on the motor itself. While doing so, we can maintain or we can keep this motor in an environment simulator where we can simulate the different ambient conditions for the motor. The second configuration is, instead of a DC power supply, here it is replaced with the actual battery. So under this condition, we can actually see the range test in the motor testing setup itself. Then the other configuration is the motor connected with the gearbox. So with this condition, at the output of the gearbox, the dynamometer is connected, and using the vehicle simulation model, we can provide the speed and torque demand to control this motor at different speed loads. Then the other configuration is the motor with a differential gearbox, where there are two dynamometers are connected. One is like a right-hand side wheel, the other is kind of a left-hand side wheel. So here the two dynamometers will simulate the loading patterns for this vehicle. And the next, another combination is four dynamometers, which are connected to the four outputs of the transmission. Here we can simulate the all-wheel drive conditions. So in this component testing, what are the typical tests which are carried out on the AC dynamometer? One is the motor characterization test, where we can find the torque mapping or the torque curve of the motor, and the efficiency test, where we run the motor at a different speed load and identify the efficiency over the complete operating area. Next is the temperature rise test. If you are running the motor continuously at the rated load, what is the gradient or what is the temperature rise in this motor? And we can do a high acceleration and deceleration test. This is possible because of the low inertia dynamometer which are coupled to these UUTs. And we can do the motor controller optimization trials, where the controller parameters can be optimized for a better acceleration or deceleration. Then back EMF test. Then the range test with the vehicle simulation package. So the vehicle testing is done, then the motor, then the next comes is the battery validation platform, where there are different equipments can be integrated, like this vibration shaker, temperature chambers, cell testers. And using this drive cycle at the time of on-road data or from the vehicle simulation model, we can generate these voltage and current profiles which are to be applied to the battery. And using this battery emulator, we can test this battery at a different load conditions, and we can see the performance or the life of the battery. Yeah, I think we have come to the end of the presentation. So we have briefly covered what are the validations in the on-road, then chassis dynamometer, then motor testing, and finally to the battery testing.
So before we get into the audience questions, we do have some standard questions. So Nitya, in your experience, at what stage should a startup or a new company that is getting into this electric vehicle field, at what stage should they really start into getting validation as their goal. So when should this exercise start?
So ideally, say suppose if they are developing the component from the scratch, then it actually starts at the design stage itself, where the CIE is starting. There itself, they are start to get the validation data, right? So they have some hypothesis or a benchmark requirement against which they are validating at each stage of this product development. And the data which is generating at each of this validation phase has to be collected or stored in a proper way, which can help to generate the knowledge out of this data, which will help them to do a betterment in their product.
So one question,
Yeah.
the individual company cannot generate all this data by themselves, right?
Okay. Yes.
So
Yes.
they would ideally want a available library also of different Indian cycles, or like a Pune city cycle, or right, or let's say the cycle of Pune Mumbai Expressway and so on, right?
Okay.
So do you offer some of these as a package along with the software, or even standalone?
Okay. So actually, we provide the software which is capable to take these drive cycles. Okay. As of now, right now, we are not generating these drive cycles. So we provide the platform where if the OEM or the startup already they have the drive cycle, they can import it and run as a like a drive cycle in the testing equipment.
Okay. So, okay. Thanks, Nitya. So we'll switch to some audience questions. We have a couple of people who have their questions. Mr. Anshul, you can unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, good morning, all. Thank you, Mr. Nitya, for the wonderful presentation. And I also have this basic question with Mr. Shekhar has already put, just a
Yeah.
different version of it, in fact.
Okay.
Am I audible? Sorry, I'm traveling, so just bear with me if some disturbances are there. Yeah.
Yeah, you are audible.
So,
Yeah, please.
okay. I'm looking for some suggestion from your side, Mr. Nitya, for
Yeah.
the team who is actually currently working on the validation of diesel propelled or gasoline propelled commercial vehicles, and
Mhm.
how they should equip themselves right now to take up the complete electric vehicle validation in coming year or two. I'm looking for a suggestion from your side, equipped in terms of knowledge enhancement and in terms of capex requirement at their end.
Okay. So yeah, if suppose in the capex requirement, for example, if you have already some test benches or the validation systems, what we need to really see is that whether those systems are able to meet this acceleration requirement. For example, in case of an electric vehicle, we have this what we can say, suppose, or we can say in chassis dynamometer in the existing conventional diesel powered vehicle, we have this emission equipments and so and so. Now, for this electric vehicle, we need to have this power analyzers, then this chargers. So, such kind of upgradation is required in this system. From the engineer's point of view, well, they have to, I can say, like they have to get themselves uh, or they have to get some hands-on on these electrical parameters, like what type of how to analyze this voltage and current profiles, how this battery charging and discharging patterns are happening. In diesel vehicle we see the mileage. Instead of that, here we need to see how the range is getting affected if we are doing different acceleration and deceleration. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Nitya. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Faiz, you want to ask your question?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
So I just wanted to ask, while you are in a drive cycle or recording data for the vehicle, so do you take how many observations do you take to come up with a conclusion that the uh, data that you have taken is kind of represents a generalized solution or a generalized situation for a vehicle, so something like that. So is it limited to some single road, two roads, or for a multiple different observations on different roads you take?
Okay. So basically, we need to try to cover three different scenarios where kind of a highway driving conditions where the start and stops are less, and there is a complete city driving condition where we will have a frequent start stops, and the mixed urban road where we have this mixture of both. Okay. So usually these are the three typical drive patterns. If we cover, we can uh, try to go as close as to the on-road conditions.
Okay. Uh, so just an extension in that, do
Yes.
you go for a gradient conditions on in the real time in the field as well, or do you just simulate on dynamometer?
Yeah. So if we have this on-road data, if we have some gradients, we have a vehicle simulation package where we can extract the gradient data and we can simulate the same on the chassis dynamometer. That is very well possible.
Okay. There was one more question. That's if you want to involve the the driver behavior or driver response. So
Yes.
there's just one question in the chat box. I had posted. So that was like the auto throttling robot. Can it simulate the response of a real driver, or it just mimics the drive cycle within some close tolerance? So can we do that with the
Yes,
auto throttling robot?
actually, yes, that is possible because in this auto throttling robot, it is actually controlling the speed pattern. So there we can, with a different PID setting, we can try to simulate different driver behavior, like aggressive driver or a smooth driving experience. So all these kind of a patterns or a behavior we can simulate using this auto throttling robot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
Yeah,
response.
thank you.
So, Nitya, I have some commercial questions in the sense
Yeah.
of, okay, all this is good to have. And there are big companies also that have these packages which help with the data systems and so on. But in terms of, what would a startup or a new company look to spend in order to get this data infrastructure up and running at their end?
So again, it is depending on the requirement, like what type of say like in the digital infrastructure.
Nitya,
Yes,
excuse
sir.
me. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
Manoj, sorry,
Yeah,
sir.
Manoj.
Shekhar. Yeah, Shekhar, good morning. So since it is a
Yes,
commercial, it
please.
is
Yeah.
very close to me.
Yes,
Please
So,
go ahead.
yeah. So yes, now we are now getting a lot of inquiries from the startup for. I mean, they are more focused on their product to be stabilized. So it is, I mean, what we figure it out, the investment, if they want to do at their place, is a very huge. So uh, we have started offering facility for short duration for these startup companies who can approach and get their product tested, and then maybe whatever rectification require they can do, and again retest and get finalized. So there are two approach. One, they can have the facility at their place built, but the capex requirement is huge. Or other wise, this as a we can support them for having their product tested, and maybe we can charge minimal fees for that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Manoj.
Right.
So, Nitya, in terms of also the testing, there is one aspect of testing which is kind of coming from a benchmarking perspective, or competitors' products also would be something that companies would like to benchmark. Let's say at a battery subsystem or a motor subsystem, and also at a vehicle level. So, is there some package offering for such exercises? Let's say if I have a competitor's motor and I would like to get a complete due diligence done as a black box testing. So, what could be the package of tests that you may provide?
Usually, if it is like a different manufacturer, then in that case, maybe the person who is coming for testing might not have the all the suppose OBD information or rather how the internally the drive is programmed. Okay, so under that condition, we can only test this motor characteristics or like this back EMF kind of a test, and different acceleration deceleration tests we can possible. Only these optimization trials may not be able to perform.
And comparison back to back with their own motor could be possible, right? Because
Yes, that is possible.
same drive cycle you may be able to run.
Yes, that is possible.
Okay. So thanks everyone for joining in today. Nitya, any parting words from your side?
No, sir. I think happy testing. Okay. Yeah.
Good. Thanks. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.